Okay, I'm recording the second one. So the question was, how do you update firmware on a remote phone? As long as you have, as long as you have this information in the phone configured so that it has the information to tell it that it is a remote phone, and you have the port forwarding set up in the router so that HTTP requests are sent to the PBX on port 80 so that the remote phone can navigate to the file location on the PBX server. As long as the username and password is correct and as long as phone download is enabled, you should be able to, that telephone should be able to get firmware updates remotely.
Okay.
Now, the second piece to that is that, in fact, that's coming up. We'll do that right now with the question. Currently installed on this system is the revision package 1.8.4.2. So let's just go to the IPitomy Wiki, release notes. That gives us 1.8.42, and I think that's what we saw we had. Yeah, so we're up to the latest here. So we can check right there to find out that if the PBX has this update, it is on the latest released version of phone firmware. And the way that you keep the PBX up to date on its own is to set this to yes, and it does come default at no. So this is an important spot too in your setup. You want to probably change this so that it is updating the files on the server periodically, and then you can set how often. You know, daily, weekly, monthly. Typically, weekly is fine. It comes up default at daily. Let's say you just want to go into this right now, and you've got it's something earlier than this. It's 1.8.42 or 4.1, let's say. So I could check now, okay? And then it's going to check, and this PBX is now going out and it's finding the server at IPitomy, and it's saying, you know, what's the latest firmware? And then after it finds out that it has the current package is this and the installed package is this, and it says the version is already current. If it's not current, it's going to download the new version, and then it will make the server current. Then what you would have to do, because the PBX cannot control the phone, what happens when a phone becomes remote is that the phone is a client, and it can be located anywhere. So the PBX doesn't necessarily know how to navigate to it. The phone actually sets up a communication request to the PBX. So the PBX then facilitates you know, the voice connection and whatever's going on that way. Same thing goes on when it's requesting information to do an update. So let's say I'm into this telephone and I'm making some button changes. I want to do some button changes on 320. I'm going to set one of these keys to be the day-night mode button. Okay. I can hit save and configure here, and if it's a local area network phone, I'm going to go out and tell that telephone, okay, receive this new information and do your configuration update. If it's a remote phone, I can't send that code to it. There's no way for me to navigate to the remote phone and tell it to do an upgrade. So after I've made these changes and done the save and configure, what I need to do then is, you know, make sure I've hit apply changes so that the information is written in the file that's on the TFTP server of the PBX. And then I go to the remote phone and call them up or whatever, and I say, you know, unplug your phone and plug it back in and allow your phone to reboot. And when it reboots, it's going to go out and check for any updates. And when it finds that it's got this update, then it pulls it down. It's a really good question. Any other questions? Okay, then back on it here. All right, so we've gone through remote configuration. The database backup and restore, simple practice really. It is a matter of going into the excuse me, PBX setup and database. And let's just call it something so that we can see it when we hover over it. Basic 4. So I want to save all my voicemail messages and my logs, let's say. So we're going to create it, and now I've got the prompts, music on hold, database, license information, voicemail, and logs. Everything's going to be saved in this database backup. So I'm waiting for my circle to go away here. Oh, you don't see my circle. I've got the little hourglass or circle as Windows 7 gives you. There we go. Okay, so it's finished. Now on April 4th, you can see the caveat pops up and it says Class Basic 4. That's what I labeled it. And what is saved in it is prompts, music on hold, database, voicemail, license information, and logs. So right in here, one of the little helpful things that I'd like to tell you about is very simple to understand at this point. Let's say you've got configurations that you use very often. You like extension 100 through 199, let's say, or whatever. You can create that general database and then store it and just, say this is my default. And you could even spell it right if you're good about it. And create it, and then you're going to have a my default. And if after you've saved it, then let's say it's here. Now I can download that, and I can store on my PC. Let's download the one that I just did. Where are we? There we are. All right. So I'm going to. I'll just stick it on my desktop. So we'll store this file on the desktop, and now I have a default database that I can upload to every system that I intend to install, and it's going to have the same configuration that I'm used to. Maybe it's the base configuration. So you can set up one of these in a very simple way and duplicate it. Now, obviously, the problem with that is that usually things are customized from one location to the next, and frankly, that doesn't happen too often. But you've just now seen the process for backing up a customer database specific to the location. So this is how you create a backup database. If I want to upload it, let's say for whatever reason this server crashed or whatever the case may be, I've got a new one installed on site, I need to upload the database. I navigate now to go to my desktop, and I find that file, wherever it was, and this is a typical practice. Here it is. And I upload it to the system. What that's going to do then is it's going to duplicate everything that was in that file on the system. So that's pretty simple practice, and obviously it's something that you need to probably be aware of and do in most cases. It's such a simple practice that I think it gets ignored a lot, but that's not really something that you want to ignore. Okay, so we've done software upgrades, we've done database backup and restore, we've done firmware updates for phones from the PBX GUI. We can do it, let me do that, we didn't do that part. If we are wanting to do a phone firmware upgrade, first we have to have the ability to do so. This setting right here, it was open for use. We have since turned it off. If you need to update a phone through the GUI, it would just have to be something that we would turn on for you remotely. There are some key sequences that we can go through that will enable these two settings. What this affects is typically not used that often, and frankly, you won't need it because if you're into an extension. And let's just pick on 330 again. I can do a firmware version and a kernel version upgrade with two buttons that would appear here if those were enabled. But here's the thing: if you've got the latest firmware installed on your TFTP server and you've gone through the process that we just went through a couple minutes ago, all you have to do is reboot the phone, and it's going to retrieve that firmware upgrade. So to do that through the GUI. Just navigate to the telephone and hit reboot, or the telephone programming screen, and hit reboot. Okay, licensing. This one comes up often too, so we wanted to just go through the licensing of the product. It's pretty simple to see. If you're going to view licensing, PBX setup services. And right here is the license information, and primarily what we need is that number right there. The best way to make sure that we get this information, because a lot of people, what they do is they take their cursor right up here and then they highlight everything and they copy it to us. The problem is that these fields don't come out when you do that. And that's the information that we need. We need these two lines. So the easiest way to do this is to download the license information. And it just opened it right there. And you can see the service tag and the host ID is right there. And this gives us some other information. But primarily, we can find the information with just these two numbers associated to the PBX you have installed. And then we're going to update it as far as whatever you want. In this, we have ACD enabled, a multi-site desktop call manager installed, Ingenious connectors installed, custom routes, call scheduling, G729. And if you don't remember that from a previous session, in order to have G729 in use, there's a license that has to be paid. We have to pay it, so everybody has to pay it. And if you want that used, you have to enable it. And then obviously hardware enabled for whatever kind of hardware port card you might install. Okay, so if you have this set up, let's just say we need to add some licenses to it. You need to add some IPitomy phones or open licenses, whatever the case may be. We need to get this information from you, from the download license information, email that to us, and then we will email back to you a file that you can upload. Now, if I just choose this, I can pick that license information that I just opened. It's one of these. It's iplicense.txt. It's just a text file. And then I'll upload the file, and that will make the changes to my license. So obviously we use a coding method that builds a file specifically to your PBX server that allows you to utilize that simple upgrade procedure. So it can be done very, very quickly and very efficient. The other part of that that I'd like to point out while we're talking about that is that IPitomy has a very, very cost-effective demo system that they have available. And if you don't have one, I suggest you get one because it includes all of these licenses and a couple of telephones, and there's a few things that are involved with the demo kit that are rudimentary to any deployed system. Not only is it good to have so that you can play with it and try it out and learn about the product, but in addition to that, the demo system can be used for doing a backup. We implemented something about 8 months ago where it allows you to use the demo system on a temporary 30-day backup. Let's say you do have a catastrophic failure and you need to install your demo system at a customer location so that they can be up and running and in service. We allow you to do that. So now you don't have to have multiple devices in your inventory. And it allows you to have one demo system that covers both needs. And what we will do is we'll take this license information from the system that you have, and it's a good thing to have this license information stored. I mean, if the server's down to the point where it won't come up, we can still regenerate the license information and find the information, but it's probably a good thing to have a copy of it yourself. So you could download this and just have that text file on your PC for every customer that you have, and it's probably a good thing to have. But we will utilize that license information, relicense your demo system for that mirrored licensing, and allow it to function for your customer's premise while the failed system is being repaired. Reporting. This is a wide open topic. On reporting, there's quite a few things that we actually have that you can look into here. Under the reporting, reports gets extensive in a very simple way from the standpoint of queues primarily. The CDR report is a call detail report from any specific period to another. Probably the better way to do this is to look at a house system. Where do I have that? Okay, on the house system reports. Okay, if I'm looking at reports on this system, we're going to see a lot of reports. What's cool about this? Let's say somebody. All right, well here we are. We're on a test call here. I've got one call that came into me from wherever. You can see all of the information that is associated to the call by double-clicking it. So obviously this is very helpful. If you got somebody that said, "Hey, you know what? Somebody disconnected." You know, you can look at an overview, kind of a generalized review of what's gone on with a specific call that they're talking about. Now, you know, believe me, nobody really wants to do this because it can be a lot of work. But if you have someone that's got an issue that keeps repeating, and you need to determine what the cause is, this can be a very, very helpful thing. What you would need to do typically is to have the person record what time of day it happened, and then to you know, tell you what maybe telephone number they were dialing when they were utilizing it, whatever the case. And then you can search for it in this list. And you can see this list gets really, really long. I'm not sure. Okay, well, our system was, oh, actually, we're trying a different platform. So this isn't that old. We don't have that many records in this one. But this can get very extensive. You can have hundreds and hundreds of pages. And it can be a lot of information to get through. One of the other things that's available to you for ACD use is the Q graphs. And when you select Q graphs, let's just pick the sales demo, see if we have anything in there. From what system I am in? House. Let's pick it back to March 4th. Update it. Okay, what that's going to give me is a record of what transpired for agents and call activity in the sales demo queue. So it's now generating this report. You know, something that I like to preface this information with is that we have a very nice reporting package that's built in, and it's very nice and useful. You should really get the demo system so that you can understand what's available there and what is not available there. Because more often than not, and I've been in telephony for a very long time, when you have a call center involved, the call center supervisor will typically want some kind of a report that's very specific to his needs. And if it's available in here, great. And he can probably get to what he is looking for, but maybe he doesn't want to see it in this way. If that's the case, he's going to have to go for an ancillary program or a storage server that will allow him to look for the reports that he wants to see. So that, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're not all things to all people here. We're a very good platform, but we are not all things to all people. All right, and in the sales demo queue, which I have available to you, you can dial in to the sales demo queue and hear it. Let me see if I've got it active right now.
Thank you for calling IPitomy. Callers in queue can be given a soundtrack.
Yeah, I do. If you were to dial the sales, our main number, 941-306-2200, and dial 8, it is not we don't mention that digit in our menu, but that digit is there for you to use as a demonstration of what callers will hear or could hear if they dial into a queue. We utilize the various things that are associated to ACD, and that gets into the advanced training that we're going to be doing in a couple of weeks, in fact, on ACD. But ACD is very, very complex, and it offers you a lot of capabilities in terms of what you can resell to your clients, and it's very powerful. So there's a lot of things that are there for you and can be utilized well. So try that out sometime and just listen to it to hear what things a customer might hear or how you might use ACD. All right, so we're into the sales demo queue, which I just called into, and I'm looking at the track history. The overview, answered calls 0, unanswered calls 10, so I'm all in the red here, just like the call I just made. Nobody answered it. So this queue looks pretty bad, in fact. But if it's all blue, or you're trying to get it all blue so that it's been answered, this gives you an overview of what has gone on in the queue. In the agents specific to this queue, all of the agents that are associated to it are represented here. The call queues and inbound, outbound calls and internal and various tags that are associated to it. Now, I've got quite a period here, and it's all information that's very close related, so it's very hard to see it, in fact. If I were to open this up, I'm getting a report of a month for every 2 hours. So what you're seeing here is dates along this side, and they're all meshed together. But if I obviously if I had only 3 days here, it would have a date here and a date here and a date here, and you can see the call traffic. What's very handy about that information is that you can see where during the day, because this is going to be based on 2-hour basis, from whatever the working times are, you're going to see spikes. And this can be utilized to tell your customers, you know what, you've got super high traffic, or they can monitor this, and they can know, okay, the highest traffic comes into us at, what hour per the day. And then they can staff the queue based on that information. And here's the logs, all of the calls specific, and here again you can double click on it and open information to to find out more specific information about what went on in that specific queue, or for that specific call in this specific queue. So that is the queue graphs, and the last part that I'd like to just show you is the monitor screen, which is something that you can utilize for like a display board. If you have a location where you want a billboard, so to speak, I'm not getting the right word, but people use these to find out what calls are in queue and who's logged in and who's not logged in. And that information is available, very easily just by opening the screen and having it displayed on a monitor. And what's the point that is probably most useful there is that this information is available or accessible when you go in through the user login. They don't have to be logged into admin, as I am here, to see this. Let me log out, and we'll just show you the code here. This is called SPC Reports User Password, and we just used it very simple. It's called Display. That gets us into that screen. So using the word display as the password, and on the user login, I'm going to type in reports, and then the password display. It's going to get to me that same place where I can look at this information, and then it will also allow me to open up this live queue monitor, and I can use this billboard and just leave this PC set up to run displays that are placed around a call center location so that they can watch call traffic in the queues that they're associated to. And obviously you can program, or you can select as many queues as you want, or just one queue, or what the case may be. All right, are we at a half an hour? Nope, not quite. All right, let's go up to next. Okay, diagnostic tools. This is definitely one that most of you will be interested in, I'm sure. I want to get out of the house system. Excuse me. Okay, we're back into the demo system, and on the diagnostics, we have some real nice tools here that we put in. Ping, real simple. Let's say I'm looking at the system and I want to ping something on that network, whatever it might be. Even the router, whatever it might be. Let's say I've had a Grand Stream installed. I'm not getting a connection to it. I might try to ping that and see if I can make a contact with just a general ping. That's what this allows you to do. I can, whoops, wrong one. I can do a ping from any of the devices on the network, and or from the PBX to any of the devices on the network to see where they or if they respond. Ping is it's a very helpful thing that is probably more useful than you know. If someone's having strange problems, a ping can help you out in just determining something very simple. Let's pick one. In fact, with the let's just pick a telephone, and let's say that 321 is having some kind of a problem, and we can't understand why the problem is occurring. Ping can do something very simple for you. It can tell you whether or not this telephone is responding, and then if you now find this information out, obviously things are responding very quickly and zero loss and very, very fast response time, 1.72 milliseconds. If I unplug that phone now and do another ping, and I get a response, you know you've got two devices on the network that have the same IP address. That's not going to happen a whole lot, but if it does happen, it's something that is very nice to be able to determine and be able to determine it remotely. If if you're like so many people out there that have product that they're servicing remotely, this is a very useful function. The other one that I'd like to show you is just on I don't think I have any SIP providers. Oh, no, I have just the Grand Stream. I do have a branch office, though. So that's my system. Let's just say that I'm having trouble with my branch office. Traceroute is exactly the traceroute that you're thinking it is. What I'm going to do then is I'm accessing this system remotely, and what I can do is I can run a traceroute, and I'll get a response of what. That's quite amazing, actually, that it took so many hops to get to my my host PBX. But this traceroute now gives me a picture of, let's say I'm having trouble with a SIP provider, or this is a branch office. I just put the host in, and remotely now I can test the connection between the PBX server and that device, whether it's a branch office or it's a SIP provider. And I can know all of the points and connection status between the PBX server and the hosted service I'm subscribed to. So this is extremely helpful and very easy to access. So Traceroute is built into Diagnostics Network. So all these things are under Diagnostic and Network. DNS lookup, obviously any one of those DNS number or hosts that we determined, we can find out what the, let's say if it's IPitomy.com. I'm going to find out, what the addresses are associated to the DNS associated to that host. So that can be very helpful too. If I'm subscribing or my local ISP is, I don't know what would happen if I did Verizon.net, but I should get some kind of a response here. Yeah, I might be able to use this. I would prefer to get that list actually from Verizon, but this is the DNS that I'm getting or that Verizon.net responds with. That can be very helpful too, to make sure that you're actually looking at something that is going to have a response. And if you've got one of your DNS entries programmed in here and you're not getting a response from it, well, obviously you're going to have trouble navigating to certain things like your time server. Network scan is also useful. I love this one because the network scan allows me to do a lot of things remotely that you just can't do unless, couldn't previously do unless you were on site. I'm going to scan this network for whatever devices are on it. And I know what the local IP is because I had it set up in my network settings. And I'm using CIDR notation here to indicate that I want to look for anything that has anything to do with 172.29.20. aren't familiar with CIDR notation, look that up in Wikipedia. CIDR notation. And this will give you the definition of what it is and how it works and how you use it. And it's just a fast way to indicate the subnet or how much of this is relevant. And I think we talked about that previous session as well. Obviously, this network is quite clean. If I were on the local internet network and doing this, I could navigate to this device by just clicking the link. But because I'm remote, I can't. Now, what this could give you is let's say your customer has a network that is performing poorly, and you just don't know what's on it. Do a network scan, and now you know every device that's on it. And you can find out what devices are. Many of them will have the listed information over here. We're still working on getting this IP HD phone information into every device that is IPitomy. Currently, we don't display it on every device, but we're getting there. The only one that we won't display information on is the actual PBX server, because we just don't want people messing with it. The other thing that's listed on here is the router. If you notice, the router's at 172.29.20.1, and you can find out what those things are. And don't forget that you can find out information about devices using the MAC address. So the network scan is an extremely helpful thing to be utilizing as well. And packet capture. If anybody's done packet captures in the past, you probably are not super crazy about having to do them anytime soon. But when you're trying to track down problems, this can be an indispensable tool that can help you find them. What we're talking about is Wireshark here, and it's a PCAP file that allows you to review all of the packets that are transpiring to this PBX. So what I've done is I just turned it on, and it's created a file, and it is now storing it. So I'm going to make a call on my demo system phone here. And okay, so I've got a call connected between one and another. Just hit that off now, and we'll see that this file size increases to 179K. Now, if I'm actually watching a live system, I'm going to capture megabytes of information within just a few minutes. These files become extremely big and extremely difficult to navigate. But now, if I want to look at this file and see what's in it, I can save that file to my PC and open it with a Wireshark. And review the information about the call. And if I'm good with this, I'm going to find voice over IP calls. And there they are. I made a call from 621 to 620, and I hung it up. So you can utilize this very effectively to capture problem scenarios. You know, one of the things that does happen periodically is calls will disconnect over SIP providers. And when that happens, there's probably a breakdown somewhere in the connection. And it's usually something that is associated to a carrier hop. One of the points that if you remember when I did this trace route to the host for the branch office, I was amazed at how many hops were involved. I mean, literally, I am going from one router out. I see why. It's going from Comcast to Verizon. Okay, so I'm navigating from one of our service providers to another. And if you notice, it's going all the way to Atlanta before it's actually getting back to Sarasota. So it's going from Sarasota to Atlanta, back to Sarasota, or actually Tampa is where Verizon is. But in any case, one of these hops might be a problem along the way. And here, with network, with traceroute and with the packet capture, you have the ability to do a lot of troubleshooting, and you don't even have to go on site to do it.